Hello everybody, and welcome to our definitely last video lesson. I don't know if that's a sad or happy thing, but we shall see. This lesson I'm going to talk about the nitrogen cycle, and particularly the role of bacteria in the nitrogen cycle and in the flow of energy. So let's begin. And there's the sound, which we're going to shut off. So, we looked at Monday in class how energy flows through an ecosystem. And we saw that at every trophic level, energy is lost due to the organism living its daily life, a lot due to waste or released as heat, or lost in respiration. Okay. Now, we're now going to look at how nutrients cycle through ecosystems. And we're going to see that when nutrients cycle through ecosystems, so like nitrogen, magnesium, phosphorus, no nutrients are lost. So there's no energy lost from nutrients. But as energy flows up a pyramid or a food web, energy is lost. But we'll see that nutrients have a way of cycling through the ecosystem continuously. So if we look at the general cycle of nutrient cycling, we're going to see the role of sort of how decomposers and bacteria get the nutrient from the abiotic reservoir into the producers and into the consumers. Usually, the consumers always get nutrients from the producers, but it's really the role of the decomposers and bacteria, which we're going to see, that get the nutrients into the producers, or basically plants. Okay, so we're going to specifically look in this lesson at the nitrogen cycle. Okay. And we're going to review for maybe the 100th time, okay, why nitrogen is important. Distracted. Why nitrogen is important for living things. And basically, there are two reasons why nitrogen is important for living things. One, they're required to make proteins, and as we know, proteins do all the things that we need. And then they're also required to make nucleic acids or DNA. And those two molecules, as we've learned, are very, very, very important for life. So really, without nitrogen, you're not really having any life. So we're now going to look at how nitrogen cycles through an ecosystem. So this is a picture of the nitrogen cycle. And you'll see that since it's a cycle, you can really start anywhere. So we're actually going to start with the decomposers, and then we'll look at the entire cycle. So decomposers are either bacteria or fungi, okay? And what decomposers do is that if plants die or if animals die, they recycle the nutrients that are in them. So when plants or animals die, a lot of the nitrogen that's stored inside of them is stored in the form of amino acids, okay? So it's the job of the decomposers, which are fungi and bacteria, to take the nitrogen that's in the either animal that's died or the plant that's dying and turn it into ammonia or ammonium, which is a polyatomic ion, an H4. Okay. Then in the soil, there are nitrifying bacteria that turn it into either nitrates or nitrates. Okay. Depending on the type of bacteria, there are two different types. They can either turn it into nitrates or nitrates. And then also in the soil, there are denitrifying bacteria that take the nitrites and nitrates and turn it into atmospheric nitrogen, or N2, which is in the air. Okay. Plants can also take in nitrates through their roots. So in the nitrate form, plants are able to take in nitrogen into their roots so that the plant can use it to make the enzymes, mostly that they need to do photosynthesis. Okay. So sort of here there's a split, is that here the nitrates can do two things. They can be taken into plants through the roots, or the denitrifying bacteria can take these nitrates and take it and turn it into nitrogen gas, which will go into the atmosphere. Okay. Now, in the roots of plants, okay, there are nitrogen-fixing bacteria, okay? And nitrogen-fixing bacteria have the ability to take nitrogen in the air and turn it into nitrates so that plants can use it, okay? There are also other nitrogen-fixing bacteria that have the ability to take the nitrogen and turn it into ammonium, and then this cycle can continue, turning it into nitrates, which you can go into the plant roots, or be turned back into the abiotic reservoir, which in this case is the air. Okay. Again, this is a cycle. Unlike when we were looking at energy was lost as it was going through the ecosystem. Here, none of the nitrogen is lost. It just cycles through different organisms. And then you can see this, which you have to copy all of it, but it's really a summary of sort of the role of all the bacteria in the system. So the abiotic reservoir in this case is the air, which is stored as nitrogen gas. And nitrogen gas is able to enter the food chain through the drop of nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the soil. So they're able to take the nitrogen in the air and turn it into nitrites that the plant can absorb through the roots. To recycle the nitrogen, we have the decomposers, which can take the nitrogen in dead plants and animals and bring it into the ammonium. And then we have the nitrogen bacteria that can take that ammonium and turn it back into nitrates. And then last but not least, we have the denitrifying bacteria that can take the nitrates and recycle it back into the air in the abiotic reservoir. So that is sort of the summary of the nitrogen cycle. So actually, you probably should have written what I wrote there. If you wrote it on the picture, it's fine though. But that is the sort of summary of the nitrogen cycle. The last thing we want to talk about, and this is sort of bringing back to bacteria's role in cycling carbon and energy in food webs. When any organism, a primary producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer dies, it is the job of bacteria in the soil, or fungi actually, to take the nutrients that are left in these dead organisms and recycle it back to the primary producers. So in that way, bacteria and fungi play a really, really important role in the cycling of carbon and energy. In the fact that they take any energy or carbon that's left in decaying organisms and recycle it back to the primary producer so that it can enter the food chain again. So a lot of times, we always say that bacteria are bad, but really without bacteria, we would be losing much more resources and energy without their ability to decompose the dead bodies and waste products of food chains. All right. Well, believe it or not, that is the end of this video, and the end of the videos forever. So, at least in virology. So have a good night.